This is Smithy.tv.
Kevin Herron, my tag team partner.
Lindsay Lewis, how are you?
Holla holla, Teddy Long style. So recently something huge happened, a huge event in the WWE. Do you know what that is?
Are you talking about
You know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about.
the most extreme pay-per-view?
It's the most extremely exciting thing maybe ever in the WWE. Do you know what that is? I can tell you right now, that exciting news is the New Day are the new tag team champions.
Oh man,
New Day?
I've been saying since day one, New Day one, that I was behind these guys, and what a glorious day it has been.
I think they're all talented guys, and it's exciting to I think the heel thing was right, because originally I was hearing it might be like a Nation of Domination kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or Point 2.0.
I think that's where they were starting to go, and then Vince was just like, "Oh, we've got too many heels."
Yeah. And so it went Power Ranger-esque.
Yeah.
Like, there kind of went, other than clapping, there was no other gimmick thing. So
yeah.
I like how eventually the fans turned on them, and then they're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Screw you, fans. We're the New Day.
Oh, and just like the some of the creative kind of heel stuff that they've been doing, like, it just makes me laugh. Like, there was how they got the spot to be on the pay-per-view, the number one contendership.
Days before the event.
Yeah.
Because before we were reviewing the pay-per-view, we didn't even know this was a match. We're like, maybe New Day will lose to Luchas and they'll get a title shot?
Yeah, and then Xavier Woods grabbed Sin Cara's legs before he could get back into the under the ring. And just like little things like that. It's
that slow heel turn tactic where it's like they're clearly, the fans are booing them anyways, but they're not acknowledging it with the clap or snap thing. Yeah. I think it's great.
It's basically like they're heels, but they don't know it.
Yeah.
And I think that's hilarious.
And soon they're going to do the full-fledged heel thing, which I think is great. And the reason why they can't do the full heel thing yet is because Cesaro and Kid aren't fully good guys yet.
Yeah.
Or until they face the Lucha Dragons, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, so I'm the Lindsay Lewis.
At Kevin Herron.
And so we're going to talk a little bit about Extreme Rules and a couple other events.
Should we say that this is Vintage Podcast?
This is Vintage Podcast. One day I'm going to say at the start of the show. Kevin always calls me out. This is called the heel turn.
Oh, yeah.
Me on the show and him on me.
Just keep me on the straight and narrow.
That's fine. You're the CM Punk of this show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's talk. Let's do a quick review of Extreme Rules. So we're not going to do a match by match breakdown. We're gonna, because one of us may or may not have watched the pay per view. Which one was us? Is that?
I may have watched it as I read the results online.
So do you skim through it, kind of?
No,
like
I didn't actually. What I mean to say is,
the answer is no.
I watched the results written on a page. Is what I watched.
So you read fan fiction potentially?
It got real dark with some of the Roman Reigns stuff in there, but
I will say the Roman match. It was because I was sort of watching, I had the NBA playoffs in the background on my laptop, and also I was kind of Facebook talking people. Yeah. But I was so I was half watching it. But the second half of the match, as I could hear the fans get into it, I watched a bit more, and it was a pretty entertaining match for what it is. At the same time, putting the Big Show with people is good for a match, but they've already had a few. And then they're doing this thing where, on the WWE Network, they have a Roman Reigns appreciation video, and I go they're doing they're starting to get Roman over again, and they do things like this, and it pushes it goes slowly roll.
Well, yeah, because it's just let's appreciate the guy that's been around for 2 years.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's why it's you're what about the Zigglers and the Daniel Bryans, and we'll get to Daniel in a few minutes. But yeah, no, their match was okay at it. The chain match. They kind of knew what the rules were. Cena gets a win. A lot of people were saying this is probably it was an okay match, but their match at Fastlane and WrestleMania were much better.
Yeah, and apparently they're going to do it again.
And so that's why I think they did that kind of Cena put the AA on him, and that should have stopped the turnbuckles again to start fresh.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
But the fact that Cena was the counter move, that he did the tap, I get how they're. So anyways, it built up to a match at Payback, which we can't wait for. Which is funny because a lot of people are joking, saying that's what WWE is going to be doing. People are going to looking for refunds on this pay-per-view. But yeah, so there was the tag team title match and the last man standing match might have been the best two matches on this card. I know you didn't watch it, but that seemed to be the general consensus online. The main event, I was excited for it because I went, you know what, give these guys the main event in 20 minutes. But I think with the Kane stuff, it actually kind of hindered it a bit from an amazing match to an okay match, and seeing how much sorry for interrupting there if I was, but Seth Rollins has had so many great matches that this match is kind of like, I don't know if I can blame Randy or not, but I might.
Yeah, it really seems though with all this, is Kane gonna switch? Is he? It seems like a Raw segment.
It did, and that's why it's like, and it was only for a few weeks, so I don't think it should have been the main event segment.
Yeah, there's not that much of a build. Like he just right after WrestleMania, and like a little bit before, but like mostly just after WrestleMania.
Yeah,
he's just like, Kane, you're dumb, and
it was fun and games on Raw and SmackDowns,
and then now it's just like the tension's building and all that, and you can see that eventually that's going to be another pay-per-view match is going to be Kane and Seth Rollins. My
issue, I guess, with this pay-per-view is your pay-per-view before, and I get that it's WrestleMania, but you went from having Roman versus Brock with Rollins in there to Rollins' first match being with Randy in a cage. It's okay, but then you hinder it with like Kane, and it's not just Kane's fault because I think a lot of it's on Randy because like that wasn't the most exciting match, and the stuff that Rollins has had, I don't put it on him that much, but it's the same thing they did with Daniel Bryan last year, which is like instead of giving like a great feud to continue the momentum, they seem to just be like. They seem to be only booking in month-to-month basis, so they're kind of like, oh, I guess we'll do Randy versus him. It'll be exciting. So it was an interesting pay-per-view, and I don't think you missed a whole lot, is what I'm trying to get at, I guess.
Yeah, I from what I read,
I still love how you're like, I saw it, and you're like, what I read.
I didn't feel like there was any particular match there that I needed to go onto YouTube and watch.
And I would have had to like said, hey, we're doing the show, watch this match, but there was no match that I could think of.
Yeah.
And we got what we wanted, the New Day being tag team champs. To me, that's Extreme Rules.
And I'm super happy with that, and I think from what I read with all of the matches, like it all in all, it wasn't a terrible pay-per-view, and I think it exceeded people's expectations.
But the expectations were quite low.
That's what I was just about to say. Like I think that's because people didn't really think much of it going in, and it's. I don't know how much longer WWE can keep pumping out these
13 pay-per-views a year.
Like these kinds of pay-per-views, they're not putting as much effort into them now that it's on the network and people aren't. They're not generating the like the $30 pay-per-view.
And I think so Extreme Rules for new subscribers was free, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard the same thing about Payback. So that says a lot about saying, first off, half the people watching it, whatever month they go in, they're getting it for free, which is great for me as a fan. But at the same time, because there's like almost 13 or 14 pay-per-views a year, I'm thinking they should get rid of one or two pay-per-views. I think that'll help a bit, but at the same time, I think they need to. I think match quality will help, and when the storylines do help make you care about these matches. But these things can't be thrown together. And the other issue too is, and the same we'll talk about Payback probably next week, is these matches are pretty much the same matches from either WrestleMania or from Extreme Rules to Payback.
Or from Raw. And that's the thing. I mean, because I know that they got a lot of the revenue from pay-per-views, and between that and the live shows, like the audience actually paying the money, right? So, but they're always going to have that live audience giving the money, whether it be house shows,
John Cena T-shirts.
Yeah. Well, and merch and stuff like that. But in terms of people actually paying money to watch their content on TV, that was all from pay-per-views. So they put a lot more. This is just my opinion on it. I could be completely off base. I haven't read anything with Vince saying this is the direction we're going because of this. But my feeling is, because they're getting people's money anyway, they don't need to put as much.
We already have your $10 or so a month.
Yeah, they don't have to put as much effort into set design.
No. For
pay-per-views, do you remember the last great set from a pay-per-view?
Even WrestleMania wasn't all that spectacular. They just pretty much focus on that long stage and covering the ring. That's pretty much
And WrestleMania, you're gonna get
a little bit more fanfare.
Because they're gonna have more viewers for that, regardless. And people who aren't even wrestling fans will watch WrestleMania just because it's a big event. It's like the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
It's people are watching the spectacle. So I can see them putting money into how that show looks, but like every other pay-per-view just kind of looks the same. Like
it feels like it's like when you watch Raws, you have the same stadium. It just feels like that. Other than seeing the title there, it feels like the same arena. Other than occasional, unless you get a live crowd like the Montreal thing that we'll talk about soon. But and like Chicago's like other than that, and the Royal Rumble, other than the crowd is the only thing that made that feel extra special.
Yeah.
And also just the anger from fans because it was just one of the most poorly put together pay-per-views, but it just like it feels like really thrown together recently, and I heard like speaking of stuff like that, I was hearing that catering money has gone away and now it's going towards putting a little bit more pyro back, which is great to get the pyro, but at the same time you want to treat your superstars and your workers so it sucks that it's coming from that point of view, but it's great to know that they're trying little things, and with also doing like occasionally they'll do like the monthly NXT event, which is great, but at the same time if you oversaturate stuff at a certain point, there's just only so much you can watch without feeling the same. So I do think they need to eliminate 1 or 2 pay-per-views and also just give us some new stuff, and because exciting matches are great, but give some build to it, which will lead us into something very soon about poor build that just kind of randomly things thrown together, which will be our next topic in a second. But is there any other thoughts you have on Extreme Rules?
Overall, I was happy with the results.
Yeah, there wasn't anything other than like New Day because like there was like going like maybe it was so thrown together probably not yet, but I'm glad they won.
Yeah,
I do like Kid and
I was really happy with that. The Naomi heel thing I don't really get.
But she has glowing shoes.
I know she's got like great shoes.
This is the '90s. She's killer.
So all of a sudden now I guess because the Usos are. Well, one of them's out with an injury, and the other one is kind of MIA because why have a twin when the other one's not there?
He's gonna lose on main event,
Yeah, and the Usos aren't really known for their singles matches anyway. But now, like since they're not around, she's all of a sudden a heel, so we're supposed to forget how she, it's sort of like a weirdly rushed heel turn, and that just didn't make any sense, and it just I don't know, like. And like, when did Nikki Bella become like a babyface?
She's in that stage of like they're doing the same thing with New Day where it's like that slow. She's sort of good now, but the same with and like I use this as an example as the Divas division is her sister. That's not even a word. Her sister Brie Mode.
Yeah.
She's yet to get revenge on a sister who like dumped like juice on her and all that, so that right there sums up the division where it's so last minute put together and if she does turn one day she'll use like I've always been saying, she'll be like I've been waiting, but so like those things are really hard, but she has glowing shoes. That's the biggest development in the league. It just
seems like they expect the attention span for the Divas division to just not be there,
unfortunately,
and it's just sort of like, okay, well now this week this person is gonna be a bad guy because reasons, and like I understand that they don't have a lot of focus on the Diva division because, for whatever reason, Vince can't seem to see the relevance of having competitive female wrestlers. But it just, you would think at this point, after all that give Divas a chance was getting all that traction on Twitter, and their top diva being extremely vocal about it. Who I'm sure we'll talk about.
We might talk about it in a few minutes.
You would think that would put a bit of a bug in the ear of Vince and just say like, all right, well maybe this is something that even if he doesn't want to deal with it, he can appoint somebody.
I'm just going to interrupt you. What it is they do baby steps towards like doing the stuff, and then they go a week later, it's all back to normal.
Well, it's 1 step forward, 3 steps back.
And
that's the thing. Like, so if something doesn't happen overnight, and then they just hit the reset button, and like, which is why the women's division in NXT is so much better because it's not spearheaded by Vince. It's all H cubed. And it's
that's it. Sorry, that's.
I forgot we're doing the visual one too.
Yeah.
So I'm just ranting. But yeah, no, it's all orchestrated through Triple H, and with that you can kind of see how they're taken more seriously, and they have trainers within the NXT system that are successful female wrestlers like Sarah Del Rey, and it shows the work. the work comes through, and like you see Charlotte, you see Bailey, and Sasha Banks, and
the fact that you can name a couple, that already says something right there.
Becky Lynch. There's Blue Pants is one. There's actually a wrestler named Blue Pants, and it's amazing.
It's just such it's give Divas a chance. You can, but because they have such a small headspace of the memory, like in WWE, the fans they expect that every time, so they can't invest either. Yeah. So it's a hard situation. They have to just build new people, and the few that they are, like I do think someone like Eva Marie might be a big deal in a year or two from now.
Yeah.
And so if they do her right, she's one of those. I think she's gonna be a great villain. The potential that like Maurice had and all that, and stuff like that. So it's just there's seeds of something great happening. Yeah. I just think we're a month to a half a year from to actually starting to really push for it. Yeah. And I hate saying it, but I think Nikki has really improved, but I don't think she's your top ace. No. So I think she should be one of the top 4 people in there. But like her and Natty kind of can help. Yeah. It's the Big Show role where you help showcase the newer, younger talent. So I think people like Paige, because AJ's not there anymore, and then you have, I think people like that, it's great, And like imagine someone like Karma came back. That would be great for them. So I'm curious to see with all these young divas you're talking about, to see if they come out better. But yeah.
Could I just forward a question your way?
No, you may not.
No.
You may tweet me at the Lindsay Lewis, or our tweet, our Twitter account.
Podcast.
No, sir. Cheap plug.
Yeah, cheap pop. But what, in your opinion, is something that could help dramatically the Divas division?
I want to say the long-term booking, but it's like storylines do help, but it can't be those 2-week storylines where you're like, Naomi, grab your right leg, so we hate each other for a week. 2 months later, we love each other. So long-term booking storylines need to help, and also there's no purpose to their matches. It's just really thrown together, so there needs to be a little bit less of that.
So it's more or less because the focus of the shows are the male talents. Like the focus of Raw is going to be on like Rollins, Ambrose, Bray Wyatt,
and great. I think that's great for them.
So let me ask you this: would, in your opinion, the Divas division be better suited being subject to a brand split and have all the female wrestlers on a separate show?
Kind of like main event.
Yeah. Well, not even like have a full hour-long show, not just like a clip show of dark matches.
All right, would you include NXT in this?
Yes.
Okay, here's my thought is I am 50-50 for this idea because I think it's a good idea and I think they have just enough people to get an hour program, but at the same time, you're taking away their 10 minutes on Raw, right? So then the question is, do you allow them on Raw? Because if you don't, then it's like, well, then all they have is Wednesday night or whatever night they put it on, and then the pay-per-views will get them too. I just think it's a hard situation because if they do that, I don't know if they can have them on Raw, but then at the same time, then you're like, why aren't Divas on Raw? So I think they're in I think we could be close to that. I actually do believe that. And just like if they do it right and they treat it kind of like a Thursday night Divas like show on the network, I think it's great for them and it gets some great storylines for people like Natalya and all that. And maybe they do tag titles, you know? So then they have because they need a multiple title or do the International Women's Championship, something like that. One of those two things with an hour show weekly, I think is a great idea.
Like sort of like an NXT takeover, like but have it like a mini midweek pay-per-view. The
only and to finish my point is the only issue with that is there's so much product out there right now that with NXT is then you taking from that, and that's my only worry. So so it's like either you watch NXT or that. So I'm just curious if they can do both.
Just cancel Legends House.
Yeah, and that's you can cancel so much product on the WWE network, and in fact I'm going to do a cheap segue and just kind of go to where our next topic was. So the WWE Network had another exclusive event there last week. Speaking of poor build, it was called the King of the Ring Tournament 2015.
Yes, and something I was keenly unaware of until it was the opening match.
And that's very much, since we're talking about Divas, that's very much what their league feels like, or their division feels like. And then this tournament, So I think they vaguely mentioned it at Extreme Rules. So
I think they sort of mentioned it.
Alluded to it,
I remember seeing on Reddit that there was people were excited about the King of the Ring coming back, and like people were posting classic moments from King of the Ring, and then the next day on Raw they started having the first round
qualifying matches.
Qualifying matches. So I mean, that just kind of came out of left field, and
that's what it is with all these things is.
And that must have been a mad scramble after the injury that took place with Daniel Bryan, because they don't have that extra title, they don't have that Intercontinental title to keep those other superstars, keep them having a relevant storyline or something to chase. So what better way to have a tournament? And
then announce it 24 hours before it happens.
Yeah.
And then have like the qualifying matches all on Raw. And I think that's great for Raw, but I think it would have been great had they given 2 to 3 weeks built up going, like, so you'd have people qualify for the qualifying matches, you know? And so, but it was just like, King of the Ring is kind of an important tournament. I know the Regal win and also Sheamus wins. Those weren't very well put together either. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those, it's a shameful thing. I just wanted to do that. Where this is a tournament that used to mean something like on a pay-per-view and stuff like that, and now is segregated to a Raw one night after. So they announced it, and then hours before they're like, so here are the brackets. Yeah. And then it became painfully clear like that most of the people in it, you're like, well, this is going nowhere. Or you could see the storylines going like, well, Sheamus and Ziggler are there. They're going to cost each other. So it was just like, and I thought, like, did you watch the hour special the night after?
I didn't get a chance to watch that one. I was.
You've watched nothing of this product.
No, I
watch out, Payback. He's coming for you.
So I've unfortunately been busy with life this past week. So
he's getting married soon. So that's a bit of a heel turn on our show.
Yeah. So there was, and I am living proof that wrestling fans can in fact have relationships and get married. So.
Score one for the bad guys, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So, but you read on it and like.
I read it and I watched Raw, so there was that. I saw the qualifying matches.
So you saw 50% of the tournament.
I saw 50% of the tournament. Yeah, I was really impressed with the. Apparently the Neville match with Wade Barrett was just incredible.
It was good.
Like incredible spots, I should say.
Yeah, it had good spots, and it almost was like if it was a pay-per-view match, it was better than their Extreme Rules match, which you may or not know they had if you watched it.
Oh yeah, no, I watched that match.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Match, yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a good match, and it's one of those things because you were talking about Daniel Bryan being out, and it's unfortunate. And I'm curious to think what people think on him if this is long term like lingering effects. Will they strip him the title?
If they were gonna strip him the title, they would have done it by now. I think that's my thinking.
And I think they're buying time with stuff like the King of the Ring tournament because so Cena's got the Open Challenge, and now we have a guy like Wade. Who's so spoiler? He became the King of the Ring champion, the King Bad News or King Barrett, whatever you want to call him. I don't know yet, but like. It's one of those. It buys you another title for someone. Yeah. So for the next pay per view, he can say, "I want your title," or as the King. Mm-hmm. Maybe he faces Jerry the King Lawler. Like there's been seeds of that. Or Ziggler. I think that's who the match is going to be. But it's just buying time. Filling spots and giving you titles, and it's great for Barrett. But he's had so many failed like U.S. and like Intercontinental title.
Yeah. They've really put the brakes on him and had him. Like pushed him and then stopped him.
There's
never been, aside from the Nexus angle, a consistent forward momentum for him.
Yeah.
And when he came back, when he had the beard, everyone was really, I guess, like in his corner, and then. He seemed to be kind of injury prone a little bit and was gone for months at a time.
There was rumors he was supposed to scrap the match, or he was supposed to win like Money in the Bank at WrestleMania the one year they're thinking of bringing it back. And then he got injured in that battle royal where I think it was either Jericho won or something, and so they cut the match. And since then, it's been his best year has been the first year he was there.
Yeah,
and it's rare to say that for someone. And
then they did the core stuff, and then that just that all fell. Flat on his face. And
I actually think there was a lot of potential there, and it just like it's one of those they use him for 3 months and then it goes nowhere, and they give him throwaway titles out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and it's the same with King of the Ring.
Yeah, well, it just seems like they're using him as kind of like a Big Show, where they make him look like a threat for long enough
for 3 weeks,
to overcome. The obstacle of Wade Barrett.
But he beat R-Truth to get to the finals, Kevin. Yeah. That's a big deal.
Yeah, this is very
He's scared of spiders.
Yeah, and speaking of people who haven't watched shows, so you have not watched this past week on Raw?
Well, I was waiting until next week to talk about it. Well, we talked about the build to payback, but you know what? No, I did not watch it, but I heard some really great things about it. I'm planning to watch it tonight, actually. So you called me out like 12 hours too soon, and I would have been okay. So you want to talk a little bit Raw? Congratulations, King Barrett.
Yes.
Sorry, Neville, but I think that's sort of my last point is it was a good little spotlight for him because it gave him an hour where the spotlight was on him, Wade, Sheamus, and R-Truth, and he delivered on it, and he has nothing but a promising future, especially with guys like Daniel Bryan being out.
Yeah, and and with that, it showed that he's somebody they can use in a pinch, and I think that's
great for him.
That is going to look very, very positive. It's going to have a good outlook from management and whatnot, and he's, I think he's in a good spot. With Raw,
takes place live from Montreal.
Close
to Toronto.
Wow,
Ish.
Close-ish. It's in the same country.
Basically.
So
look, SmackDown took a place from my home in Ottawa, so.
Oh yeah.
But no one watches SmackDown really.
I would. I would if they had Paul Heyman write for them again and didn't just recycle Raw matches and turn it into a recap show.
One of the jokes before we talk about Raw, it's always people going like, so we're going to do it on SmackDown and we'll do it again on Raw because you're watching it. So then you can do anything and do the same result and be like, so anyone who was like, it happened on SmackDown, they're like, did it? Because you didn't really watch SmackDown, so we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, SmackDown's basically a house show. So.
It's a televised house show where every once in a while when viewership goes down or they're going over to a new network or new time, then they have 2 weeks of exciting material, usually.
Yeah. And Raw was fantastic, I thought.
I've been hearing that.
Just the crowd reaction was outstanding.
Like a special crowd can make it feel like a regular Raw to something special, and that's why everyone looks forward to WrestleMania Raw.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the I think personally speaking for me, just because we are Canadian, we have our favorite wrestlers. A lot of us Canadians would be members of the Hart family. Specifically, the I don't even know if you could call him like the leader of the Hart Foundation, but Bret Hart. Basically,
he's a big fan favorite in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton, everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much anywhere within these Maple Leaf borders. So
that's what they apparently call us, the Maple Leaf borders.
Yeah,
they don't at all.
No. So John Cena had his U.S. Open challenge. He did a little spiel. He tried to relate to the crowd with talking about hockey and the Montreal Canadiens. And there was, it went on for about like 5 minutes. And then he did the open challenge, and Bret Hart's music hits.
I can't wait to watch this.
The crowd goes absolutely nuts, and Bret Hart comes out. He explains that he's about to introduce a hometown favorite. Somebody who's from Montreal, somebody who's one of the best wrestlers he's ever seen. And out comes Sami Zayn.
Now, did the crowd know he was going to say him, do you think?
As soon as he said, hometown from Montreal, everyone went nuts. And they started singing the Ole, Ole, Ole.
That Sammy song, right? Yeah.
Well, that's, and that goes back to his days in the Indies when he was allegedly El Generico, the generic Luke store.
Yeah.
Which was an amazing gimmick. He comes out and they have a fantastic match, and it looked about halfway through the match that Sammy had actually hurt his shoulder. Turns out he injured himself
walking to the ring
and celebrating. Like he went like this, and then like he pulled something in his shoulder.
Now, when you watch the footage, does it look like he does it there?
He goes up like this, and then his arm flops to his side.
Ooh.
So. Yeah, it's such a silly way to hurt yourself.
And now he's gonna be out for apparently a couple months.
Yeah, that's why, and there's a NXT pay-per-view coming up and all that, but because
Kevin Owens is hurt too, right? Or he's almost like
Hideo Itami just got hurt too.
And that's why it's hard because these guys go so strong and but for him it's just that to do this and get hurt that's just life happening and it's like oh dear.
But at the same time, like he went out there.
Delivered.
Injured himself, and then he put on a hell of a match with Cena. And they were asking, like, Cena, as far as I could tell from watching it, it looked like Cena went to the ref and said, like, go check on him. And like he said, like, no, keep it going. And the match went on for like another 5-ish minutes, and it was a really good match. And there's like he didn't look that injured. It looked like it was
good on him.
It looked like it was a work. Like it looked like he was
selling the effects
like,
of wrestling the C Nation.
Yeah, like. And that was another great part of Raw as well with the crowd. There was about at least 40 some odd seconds where Cena couldn't start his promo because
I love this stuff.
The entire crowd was just singing his theme.
Like, oh, I have to watch this tonight now. I have to.
It was amazing. It was so good. So, and my point with the whole, I was really a fan of this Raw just because of the Canadian content in it with Bret Hart and with Sami Zayn.
And not just because it was Canadian, but the crowd was excited to be at made the event something extra special than it was a regular Raw.
Oh yeah, and like the Dean Ambrose, he had a fantastic match against Seth Rollins,
and he got himself into a Fatal 4-Way now.
Yeah, now he is inserted into the Fatal 4-Way,
which to me is more them saying we need more people to buy Payback.
Yeah,
and the storyline with Randy Orton, Kane, and now Roman is because the week before they did that. It was either Roman or Seth, and Randy and Seth, and everyone knows it's going to be the triple threat match. Whenever you put a scenario like that, it's always going to be that. So it's like one of those bullcrap. Like I felt like they should have given like a 4-way with Kane in there or something like that, or I don't know. So I'm glad that I'd rather someone like Ambrose than Kane. But
so now you have the Shield and Randy Orton. And
so I like this match, but I also worry that this could have been like a Money in the Bank or a SummerSlam match that they built up, as a triple threat, or a WrestleMania main event minus Randy Orton. I like Randy a lot, but like these two, it's not. The promos are working, but the match is just not. It's not meshing well together. Yeah. So that's why I do like the idea of having the power strength of Roman, like the craziness of Dean, and like him and Seth can do a lot of great stuff. Yeah. And they've all worked together so much. So I think we're going to get a great match. I think it's going to be 100% better than the Extreme Rules match. And you might even watch it this time, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. And, my biggest gripe about this Fatal 4-Way is the fact that Randy Orton's part of it. And I like Randy Orton. And the reason why I say this is...
He's going to crap in your bag any second.
Well, yeah. He's going to poop in a bag. Poop in a gym bag.
Vintage Orton.
Vintage Orton. But, so the reasoning is because it's such a great opportunity to have finally have the blowout from the Shield. Because when that happened, Rollins and Ambrose, they had a feud for a little while. And then
it was great TV.
Yeah, but then Roman Reigns just he didn't seem like he cared. He just kind of went off. Like, there was never that big, we were a team and you screwed us.
Yeah.
So, they never came to a head, and this would be a great opportunity for that
to try to get most of that thunder back.
Yeah, just to drudge up that kind of those emotions that you betrayed us, but now with Randy Orton there, just it doesn't fit, it doesn't make sense, and now they're gonna have this match, which is the first time, to my knowledge, that the three of them have been in a singles match.
I believe so, yeah. And now you just add Randy,
Yeah.
Before, if it was an individual, it just it would have been like a triple threat, 6-man tag match. Or something, with against Evolution. So this is basically last year Payback. I think it was Evolution versus the Shield. So now it's in a way it's kind of neat to see that, but at the same time, I don't think it's the right event, and also storyline wise, it's two last minutes thrown together. At the same time, with history, there's always a chance to use that in momentum to be like, hey, there is some story already made up. Yeah. We still have an extra week now to try to build some story. Do they just play it as a regular match, or do they play it with, hey, we were the brothers, or this guy betrayed us? There's a lot they can do with it. I'm curious what they do, though.
Yeah. I'm not sure where they're gonna go. I'm interested to see, and this is a match that I wasn't expecting. When it was just the triple threat, and it was Orton, Reigns, and Rollins, it was okay, whatever. It might be entertaining, but I'm not. I can pretty well tell what's going to happen. But when you throw Ambrose in the mix, it just adds a bit of more intrigue to it. Like
There's room for the Shield work together in a spot? Does Dean go heel and help Rollins retain, or do the Shield somehow work as a faction and screw over Randy? There's a lot they can do with it, and there's also room for us to like the forgetful history of WWE. They're like they don't tell a storyline of them all wanting Seth,
Yeah, and it's it leaves more questions about what could happen, and that's what I want to see in pay-per-view. Like I want to go in saying like, okay, well, here's 3 really strong possibilities. Like this is what I think is going to happen, and sometimes those things happen, sometimes they don't.
Mostly they don't.
And I don't know. I'm excited to not be sure about what the outcome's going to be. I'm sure Seth retains.
I think
we'll talk about this more,
but we don't know how. Yeah, and again, we'll talk more about this next week. But we don't know how, which is the exciting part, because I think the outcome is Seth wins, and we will get into it next week. But it's the how is exciting, and again, if you're a new subscriber to the WWE Network, it's another month of you screwing over the already like purchasers of this. But go for it, buy it, and you get a free pay-per-view. I think it'll be a good match.
Go for it. Connect to it, get that free pay-per-view, and give us the password.
Now you know who you won't see on this pay-per-view.
Oh, would that be Miss Brooks?
Yes.
Okay.
So AJ Lee is retired from in-ring action in the WWE. I know it happened a while ago. We thought we should at least touch base on it. I know we talked a bit about the Divas today, so we thought we'd add this in there.
Yeah.
Really quickly.
I wasn't surprised in the slightest.
No.
And there's rumors going around that she was pregnant or whatever, and like I don't know if there's any actual credence to that. But it just seems like it was kind of a bit of a tumultuous relationship after Punk left.
It's how I think she's in a company she loves, but how do you take the person you love being attacked by them, or
currently sued by them?
There's so many things going on, and then also the thing that if there wasn't a hint that this might happen was the give the Divas a chance thing, because the person who started was almost her, and when Steph handled it pretty well, I think, in that situation. And then when that happened, I went, any second now. It could happen quietly, or it could be she can lose every week on Raw. And so I think they did the right thing where it's like, right now, I think she's retired. Never say never to a comeback. And also her husband's like a UFC, and I don't know if she wants him there or not, so I think she's more supportive of that, and also whether it's pregnancy, and also your body just needs a break from wrestling sometimes. So I think get away from the poisonous environment. I completely get it. At the same time, I heard it was a last-minute thing where she kind of told him, so I don't know. They might have been able to build up a storyline to make Nikki look even better, like retiring her, or like Paige, So I think she did great 5 years or so, or for where the Divas are now, I think she's the new standard for something doing pretty good. She's the only one who's main evented Raw other than her and Steph and maybe Nikki. So she's one of the few Divas ever to do that. I wish her good luck. I'm never gonna be surprised if she's back in a year and a half from now.
Yeah, and I don't think this is the last time we ever see AJ, whether that be in a WWE ring, whether that be in a TNA ring, whether...
I would be surprised if anyone's in a TNA ring come a year and a half from now.
Yeah.
I think that company's on... I don't really watch it, but from everything I hear, they canceled tours and now wrestlers have to find new work for 2 weeks. I think that company is on borrowed time.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because there's a lot of talented people, and I hope they go to the right places, but I hope they're making an exit strategy is what I hope for them.
I hope that they find a way to make it work.
I can't see them doing it. I honestly can't.
Yeah.
Their bar is to hit where they used to or more. They're going to be lucky if they get to where they used to be, And I can't see them doing that, and I just can't see a TV company there's no wise decision in investing in this company.
Well, they did just...
Destination America, or whatever it's called. I don't even know what network that is.
A brand new acquisition in creative. I'm not sure if you've heard this news.
Breaking news? No, I'm kidding. What is it? Who is it?
A new...
Day? Sorry, anytime it says new day.
But the new
day?
Creative.
Sorry, you gotta...
Every day time. So Billy Corgan. of the Smashing Pumpkins is now a senior.
And I know he's a huge fan of wrestling.
Yeah, and he was part of like Resistance Pro and all that. But so he is now in a position where he can help develop talent and give creative suggestions.
He's a musician, and I get he's a big name, but they WWE at one point had like Freddie Prinze Jr. who so just like you can have any obviously Billy Corgan is like a bigger name in the business he was in, but that acquisition isn't going to save the company, I think.
Yeah.
For him, it would have been better to go to the new Jeff Jarrett promotion they're trying to make, because at least it's new, so they can say, yeah, and I hear they have Chael Sonnen, who might be one of the commentators, which is great.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been wiser to go somewhere like that, because anyways, I know we're talking about AJ, we'll get back there in a second, but I think TNA is on borrowed time, and do you think they'll be a company in 2 years? I'll ask you that really quickly. On television.
I think so. I think they're in. I think they're in a position right now where they need to make a change, and I think with their acquisition of Billy Corgan and trying out different ideas, they're now on Destination America, so they've switched from Spike.
You gotta tell me what channel that is, because no one knows what that channel is.
We don't have it here.
We don't. So guess what? TNA doesn't exist here in Canada.
Yeah.
That takes one of your most fan base.
Yeah. So,
away.
I think they are. They're on life support right now, but I can see them pulling through. They have, they got that Carter money coming in, and I think they can hold on for just enough time for them to
get a proper shakeup,
build themselves back up. Because I think the problem was with Spike, they didn't have the support to promote themselves, but apparently with this new channel that they're on,
the DA,
they're
Destination America.
They're actually it really does seem like they're backing the product. So they're in a position right now where they need to kind of just maybe lay low and just wait for things to kind of pick up and build up again. So I think they're in hard times, but I don't think they're done. That's a very long-winded answer to that. So
what you're trying to say is you won't be surprised when AJ returns to the WWE in 2 years.
Yeah, with Kurt Angle.
Yeah, and Kurt Angle, I and that's what's great about. I hate saying it with something like TNA shutting down. Is I don't know if Ken Anderson will ever come back, but I think he actually was a solid. He has superstar written all over him, but also just with people like Orton and Cena not feeling it. But with TNA going down, it's great to have someone like Kurt Angle be like, there's no place now, so you can go there. With AJ said, she'll either a year from now join them if they're still around, or she'll wait, let him have his UFC fights, and then she'll probably come back for a year or two in the WWE. Now, speaking of another superstar that we don't know what's going to happen with, Daniel Bryan. Let's just briefly touch on that one more time. He had a title card defense that was supposed to happen at Extreme Rules against Wade Barrett, the now king, and now the man who was going to face him is in a hospital.
Yeah, and what I think is if they were going to take the title from him, they're going to make him strip the title, and if he had to retire, it would have been announced by now, and they would have, as Triple H put it, held the title in abeyance until somebody won something, I don't know, through a battle royal or something, or tag match play.
SmackDown Battle Royal tag team match, whatever.
Have a 6-man tag match play.
Holla holla. I think New Day should be the Intercontinental Champions.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. It's sad because it's the same thing we're talking about why Extreme Rules this year kind of sucked, is the momentum they had for him was with Kane, and then he got injured, and then he comes back, and him and Cena are going to build these titles, and his first match was against Barrett, and I think it was going to be an easy victory until he started getting bigger opponents, and he was going to have, I think, a lengthy, almost maybe year reign as champion, and now, whether they strip him of the title or he has time off, his momentum stops, and you kind of get why WWE can't push him as the heavyweight champion, because if he's going to be this injury prone, you can't put an investment in something that 50% chance is going to break down. Roman Reigns is healthy to go, and he's like a pretty boy, and he's got a great look for them, you know what I mean? So I think the blue-eyed vampire or wolf, whatever you want to call him, I get why, more and more, why they invest in him. I'm not there yet, but other than those documentaries to take those away, but someone like Daniel Bryan, he's got everything the fans want, but if his body's not ready to go, I completely get not being able to back it, know? And when you have guys like Neville coming up, and the Dean Ambroses who are still getting cheers, I get why he's he can become slowly a special attraction rather than a main eventer.
Yeah, I definitely see. I can see them distancing themselves from long title reigns if it turns out that.
Well, that's also present day WWE. Like the Diva storyline every 3 weeks changes. So I think it's always gonna be hard for like longer than 3 to 6 months is usually long now.
Yeah. So it's sad. I'm a big fan of Dan O'Brien. Yeah, and it's sad. It's very sad that it seems like he hit his stride. He got a ton of support from the fans. Rose to the top, and then just that was it.
And at the worst times
at
too.
The very worst, and like the worst possible times, plural, for
Not just, yeah,
these
no.
things to happen. They've happened, and it's unfortunate for like such a talented guy and somebody who's come so far on things like his mic skills and like promo skills. And he's put a lot into the business, and it's just. It would be sad to see him kind of, rise to such a height and then just fizzle away,
And that's the fear, is because I also don't want him to be hurt. I don't wish that on like guys that I don't find entertaining.
Yeah,
like, it's just
and that's it. And I mean, especially with like Edge, he had a similar thing where he had, like a debilitating injury with his neck.
And he was a little older at that point too, so it was one of those like he's thinking long term for his life too.
But it was either stop or be paralyzed, and given that option, like I am 100% okay with Edge not wrestling anymore. I'm
glad I'm
gonna miss his matches. He was one of my favorite wrestlers, but at the same time, you gotta. No, there are people in there. They're not.
But like this show is a soap opera. I don't care what people say. And in soap operas and shows like that run years long, characters are always gonna be written off, like short term or long term or out of nowhere. And people like that, injuries happen. So if he had to go, if it's for the right reasons, I completely get it. And it sucks for him because this is his livelihood. But I think his health is more important. At the same time, do I think he can come back? I do. It just like I don't want him to rush back. I'd rather have him have one last good year or two run than just come back, hurt himself every few weeks, and then it's just like okay, we question mark always is scary. So I'm curious to see what happens. I like the guy a lot. The crowd loves him. You wonder why he wasn't in the main event at WrestleMania. This unfortunately is showing why he wasn't.
Yeah.
At the same time, they're saying, they put him in this ladder match to help not put him in the main event. I go like, ladder matches are dangerous. So if that was a legit thing, I think that's bad. But we'll see what happens in a couple months.
Yeah.
He could be back in a month from now. Who's to say after Payback? Maybe they're trying to build up more momentum for him.
Yeah, and that was my point with if it's looking extremely bleak for his future in WWE and in pro wrestling in general, I think they would have pulled the trigger by now. Then they would have said like, okay, this is the situation, instead of just not mentioning it and not bringing any attention to the fact that he's missing.
So Payback is the May pay-per-view. In June, is it Money in the Bank in June or July? I think it's July. Because SummerSlam's August. So we're missing one more pay-per-view. Maybe it's Over the Limit or something like that. One of those throwaway ones. Or Hell in a Cell or whatever it is. Or Hell in a Cell's October. But I'm curious if they're trying to... I would love it to be Slamboree or War Games or World War III even. Halloween Havoc was the best, by the way.
It was.
Bash at the Beach was also good. Basically any pay-per-view WCW is great with us. Maybe they... Thursday Night Thunder. Saka! No, I think I would rather... Maybe they're holding off if they do know that he's okay and he just needs some time. Maybe they're holding off for Money in the Bank or SummerSlam to have him return to make it bigger. Yeah. So, until we hear more word, I think he's okay. But I think right now, let him heal and also build up the momentum because they don't need him for these throwaway pay-per-views. Let's not hurt a guy until we need him to then hurt him. So, I think we'll see him again. And I just think we're saving for a better time. So we never asked like fun questions or ever. So I figured, let's add some in. So this little segment we're going to call Coliseum Video.
Okay.
What's the one movie on Coliseum Video on VHS? If you kids know what that is out there, it's the thing before DVDs. The thing that DVD is the thing before Blu-rays.
After beta.
Yeah.
After beta before DVD.
So Coliseum Video. What's the movie you would always watch over and over again that you loved? And it hopefully is a Coliseum Video, or else the title is pointless for me calling it.
Yeah.
Lord Alfred Hayes, isn't that the guy's name? Coliseum Video,
Oh,
like
geez,
that
yeah,
guy.
I think, yeah,
Todd Pettengill was there.
Yeah.
He was great. I love that guy.
There's so many like blazers in that. Oh man. I gotta say, like,
Because I know my answer, so I don't know if you want to think about yours.
You go first. So I gotta think about this
The
one.
1990 Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So what they did is they had the whole card. It was like about 2 hours, 2.5. But I'd watch it so many times. Each tournament had the good guys and the bad guys.
Mhm.
If the bad guys won, the winning members of the team advanced to the finals, and same with the good guys. So by the end of it, all the survivors from each team formed a dominant, like the big teams. So the main event ended up being like the first match of the night was Mr. Perfect's team versus Warrior's team. Warrior was the only survivor. Texas Tornado almost pulled it out, but he couldn't do it. The Brain and Mr. Perfect screwed him over. So eventually it got to be where it was Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, and Tito Santana
Oh.
versus the Warlord, Powers of Pain, or Power and Glory.
Yeah.
Rick Martel and Ted DiBiase, I believe, was the teams. It was also the debut of The Undertaker. That was the pay-per-view where they came out to, where he's the mystery opponent on Ted DiBiase's team, who was victorious.
Yeah, and that who's his manager at that point? Cause
It was Brother Love.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is like when you see it, you're like, "Where's Paul Heyman?" But it wasn't him.
Paul Heyman, Paul Bearer.
But it was one of those pay-per-views as a kid. I just loved watching. It was exciting. It's like it had from Nikolai Volkov to the Tito Santana. I think he was in that match. Bushwhackers, the Rockers, Virgil.
Yeah.
LonelyVirgil.com. But yeah, no, it was an exciting pay-per-view, and it just like those ones were back. It was back in the day when Survivor Series meant something. But I loved a good Coliseum video where it was like those yellow cases, and they were.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of there's a very specific match that I've seen about 100 times, and I can't remember what it was actually from.
What was the match? Maybe we can.
It was.
Maybe they can tell
I
us.
think it was Henry O'Godwin and Triple H.
I can already tell you that I hate what you're talking about because that match I would not want to watch.
It's Hunter Rose Helmsley. It was back when he did the Blue Blood thing. It was.
Wasn't it the free for all match like those guys?
It was a match that it was in like a pig pen.
Yeah, the hog pen match.
Yeah, and it was because I remember it was the first time that I saw legit blood, like not from blading or anything like that. It was like a legit
Henry Godwin match,
and he got Triple H got thrown back first into the the cage, I guess, the pen.
Yeah.
And he had like just this the imprint, like a bleeding imprint of the pen on his back, and it's just like that stuck with me. And I don't remember what show it was on, or
I feel like exactly it was probably one of their throwaway like Unforgiven, or if it was probably SummerSlam, you know.
Yeah, or there's one where the Undertaker got. He was doing the
basically in a match with blood is what you're trying to say on Coliseum Video. Is that what you're getting at? You just like to see them bleed?
No.
Dance puppet? No.
It was just a match that cause that was the first time that I was just like, oh my god,
it's real to me, damn it, yeah.
Well, and at that point, I was young enough that I think, it hadn't kicked in that all the stuff was fully predetermined and all that. You have an idea, but you still suspend that disbelief. And that was something I was just like, it seemed so brutal to me. And looking back now, it would just be like, whatever. After ECW, after the Attitude Era and all.
But as a kid, you see these things, and this is like, wow.
Yeah.
So that's your Coliseum Video pick, is a pay-per-view you don't even remember, other than the one match where Triple H almost broke his back.
Yeah.
In a hog pen match.
Well, I'm trying to think of...
That answer deserves you in a hog pen.
See, but I watched a lot of compilation.
And those were great because you get So
it was like the best of high flyers and stuff like that from the WWF. So it's 1993. You get Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels doing the ladder match.
They'd always have those superstar matches. The only reason I would get them is if you'd see them for $2. So you'd be like, hey, it's an hour thing, sure. Or they'd be like the Croatian tournament where Ahmed Johnson won. I have that VHS because it was like, hey, it's $1.99. You're like, well, I like Ahmed Johnson at the time. Yeah. Let's buy it. That's a great deal back in the day. Now it'd be like, why'd you buy this VHS? So what's your guys' favorite call? Pearl River plunge.
In value.
It did until he started like actually injuring people.
Oh yeah.
That hog pen match would have been destroyed by Ahmed Johnson. But yeah, so what's your guys' favorite Coliseum video? Is there a VHS you'd watch or DVD that you watch all the time? Yeah. Mine is Survivor Series 1990.
Yeah.
Yours is Undetermined pay-per-view.
Question mark hog pen match.
Tell them message us what it is, please.
Yeah.
At Kevin Heron or at Vintage Podcast. Let us know.
Not at the Lindsay Lewis.
Well, I was going to get to that, but I was saying to answer your question because maybe I know the answer and I just want to tell you. I don't know it. I don't know it. But yeah, we're in interesting times. Yeah, I'm curious to see where we go forward. Next week we're going to talk about the exciting payback that's coming towards us, the fans.
Yeah, and I think we're going to try to format a little bit more of some questions back and forth, but like what we kind of similar to what we did in our first.
We want to do maybe like trivia and like favorite, like least favorite stuff. We're gonna talk about some factoids and also like we're still gonna do the review shows, but we're trying to like other than this week, we wanted to give little seeds of like Coliseum video stuff like that. But we're gonna get more into those little fun stuff as well. And eventually we're gonna we're not for sure, but we believe our show is gonna be going to the Niagara Comic Con. So glad to announce that we might be going there, and we might have some cool guests there. Yep. And also we're actually working on with some former WWE superstars that we can hopefully get in touch with. So we're hoping to get some, to get the show on the road, and we hope you guys are enjoying it who are new and loyal, aka like the 10 of you. Thank you. But no, jokes aside, like we enjoy having this, but we want to have fun with it, and we want to have, so if there's a thing you say, hey, you guys would be good at this, please let us know. I'm cool with that.
And we're super excited to do this.
You sound so tired. You're like, we're super excited. No,
it's this is a lot of fun to do, and we're really excited to put on these shows for you. And if you have any suggestions, like Lindsay was just saying, anything, any questions, anything like that, just feel free to give us the old Twitter message.
Maybe we'll do favorite hog pen matches.
Favorite hog pen?
Which will be like
hands down
that match.
That match.
Imagine it wasn't even that one. You're like, well, wait. Oh wait, the Vicky Guerrero retirement match. She was that like that was just like a pudding match.
Oh yeah, that was like that was but I think that was supposed to be like.
I heard it was like I heard it was pudding mixed with like dirt and stuff like that by the crew, like Steph said. But yeah, so if you got funny questions or you want us to do top 10 something, we'll gladly do that.
I think we should do a Where Are They Now?
We should do
it. WCW Where Are They Now?
Marcus Bagwell, watch out. We're coming for you.
Gigolo.
Yeah. The American Gigolo. I hope he returns. But yeah, no. So we hopefully we have some exciting stuff coming forward. Yeah. And again, we'll still once in a while. This table's really squeaky. If you guys could hear it all show, I apologize. Hopefully, we'll put someone through it soon. Maybe even a former superstar or a present day superstar coming up. But keep in mind, guys, the New Day are tag team champions.
That's what's really important.
That's the most important thing right now.
Really is.
And they would want us to let you guys know that. Bring it on. Give us questions or ideas. And they'd want us to say, New Day does not suck. In fact, they are the current tag team champions. I am at the Lindsay Lewis on Twitter.
I'm at Kevin Heron on Twitter.
And our show can be found on Twitter where?
At Vintage Podcast. Subscribe on iTunes and find us on the YouTube. And let us know what you think. Leave us some reviews, comments, anything like that. Yeah.
And until next time, watch a hog pen match.